Welcome to High Stakes. I'm your host, Tracey Devlyn. On this show, I chat with authors about the moments in their stories that change everything, what's at stake, what it costs, and why we can't look away. From thrillers to romance to sci-fi and beyond. Let's get to it. Joining me today is #1 New York Times bestselling author J.R. Ward to talk about her entree into the world of romantasy with The Crown of War and Shadow. Welcome to the show, J.R.
Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, just a real pleasure to have you here for sure. Although you've written a number of other books, I think it's safe to say that you're best known for your Black Dagger Brotherhood series. So I have to ask you, what was the hardest thing about writing this story? Was that it didn't include the Brotherhood, or was it that it was a slow burn romance?
Um, uh, okay. So actually, the hardest thing about it was I'm used to writing books in third person, which means that, all right, so the way it works is I don't outline anything. I don't think up characters. I have pictures that play in my head, and they're like scenes from movies, and I can step into one person's eyes and watch what happens and hear their thoughts, or I
Yeah.
can step into someone else's, or I can go third person omniscient and just watch it happen. And I'm used to writing in third person, which means I get to pick. Although I have no control over the story, I get to pick and kind of like sort of like figure out which POV would be best for the reader. And sometimes, like, if you're trying to keep some things from a reader, you can choose. But when you're in first person, which is what Crown of War and Shadow is, you are limited to what one person can know, see, extrapolate, or experience. And so that
Yeah.
was kind of like a new thing for me. I'm used to dealing with big worlds and big world building because the Black Dagger Brotherhood is like that. But it was that first person, man. Woo!
Those tenses get tricky, don't they? Whenever you're
Yes.
used to writing in third person, you have to switch to first like that. That's for sure. Well, I just thought I'd give you a little hard time there with the slow burn
And you
romance
have
because
absolute right to do that. Absolutely. Well, and that was the other thing. That's a really good point. Because of the way Sorrel and Merc meet, they're our main characters. There's a lot that she doesn't know about him, and she doesn't know about the situation. So when it comes to like those kind of scenes, it's not credible that a woman is going to go there with a man she doesn't really trust, right? And so that
right.
was another unintended consequence to the whole way the book kind of bloomed in my head. Is I said, oh, this is very different from the Black Dagger Brotherhood situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Well, before we go too
Sorry,
deeply
sorry.
into the story. No, no, no. That was our fun little kind of get to know each other question. So no worries. It's all good. Before we get too deeply though, I was hoping that maybe you could just tell us a bit about yourself, just whatever you'd like to share.
Oh, I'm boring. There's nothing. There is nothing. So, I have been asked that question. I've been first of all, I'm a dinosaur. I've been in this business for 25 years now. I've written 65 books. I spend all my time in my boxer shorts and the flannel. I have flannel pants on.
I love it.
I only look good from like the waist up. You know,
That's great.
and like I have the best job in the world. And the reason why I have the best job in the world is because my readers and the Black Dagger Brotherhood fandom supports what I do, which I'm very grateful for. But honestly, I'm pretty boring. I People always want me to say, oh, I'm this exciting. No, I'm a secretary for the like pictures in my head, and that's it.
That's a great way of putting it. Well, why don't you go ahead? You want to just give us a quick overview of the story and tell us about Sorrel and Merc?
So Sorrel is or Sorrel.
Oh, Sorrel.
No, it doesn't
Sorrel.
matter. She is a barmaid with a hidden past, and she gets thrown into this quest that she does not want, did not ask for, and never saw coming her way. And in this sort of medieval fantasy world, she takes on this mercenary as her protector to get her to this place that she has to go. And that kicks off a whole bunch of what I like to call Star Trek situations. So I don't know if you've ever watched Star Trek, but
Oh
like
yeah.
on the spaceship Enterprise and like Captain Kirk, and everyone's always going like this, and there's like, I can't, there's no more power, and there's like, and they're firing at us, like red shirts dying all over. I mean, it's a total land of
Yeah.
chaos and opportunity and danger. And it's this wonderful kind of Dungeons and Dragons world where you have to, she ends up finding herself into all of these trials and tests of her character and her skills, and at the end there's a big old twist, and then we're on to the next, which I'm actually in revisions for now.
Oh, great. All right. Well, that's wonderful. We can, if you are able to talk about, we'll talk about that towards the end a little bit. But I tell you, as soon as I saw this title pop into my inbox, I just thought to myself, I'm like, of course, because JR has such an edgy, fearless voice, and I thought you would just be perfect for this genre, this subgenre of romantasy. Is this something that you've been interested in writing for a while, or is this just a recent development, or
Well, so I got it I sometimes cuss. Is that
that's
bad?
okay. Yeah,
Are you
it's all
sure? Okay.
right.
Well, so
You go for it.
I got
Be
shit
yourself.
I got shit canned by my first publisher a million years ago, and they were right to do it because my books were critically well received, but they didn't find an audience. And so I found myself thinking, well, if I want to survive, I've got to, what am I doing next? And my agent at the time said, you've got to decide what a Jessica Bird book is, or what turned out to be a J.R. Ward book. So I sat there for about 2 weeks, and the vampires appeared. And I did not expect anyone to buy the Black Dagger Brotherhood series because it was really far out there for the time, for where the market was.
Yeah.
And so I kind of thought to myself, well, I better have something in my back pocket. And I don't know, I sent it out and I was waiting for a response on the proposal. And this other world came to me. And it was based on 4 books and a compass and in a medieval fantasy world. Well, the Black Dagger Brotherhood took off, and that idea outline kind of exploratory document has been on one of those three
Uh,
and a half by 5 hard
wow.
floppy discs. And
Yes.
so all of a sudden, 2 years ago, I had some space in my publishing schedule, and I was kind of like, I was like, I wonder if that old idea couldn't be retrofitted, because there were some things that had to be tweaked into the romantasy genre. And I kind of tweaked a few things, and we sent it off. And Bramble is just really doing well in the romantasy space as a traditional publisher. There are a lot of really good indie published authors and then non-trad publishers in it, but they're, for the trad side, they're just really, understand that market, understand what the readers want, from covers to packaging
Hmm.
to the whole thing. And so I kind of tripped over it, and it's been wonderful because it's so great as an author to try something new, do something different, grow a little bit.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it just helps. I always call it clean the palate a little
yeah,
bit because you've been living in a particular world for so
yes,
long. It's really nice just to try something and I don't know, just experiment a little bit more that maybe you can't in the world because there's certain things that you have to abide by in that
yes.
world. There's certain things your readers expect. And so, yeah, I could see that that would have been really refreshing for you to do something different. Did you have a lot of fun creating this world and its magic system?
Well, so again, I don't create anything. I just watch the pictures in my head. So the adventure I went on was it was just so much fun. It was again, the first person was hard for me in some ways, but I loved the world. I loved the weird creatures. Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of weird creatures in there. I loved the landscapes, the different environments that she goes through, like in terms of like, it's cold, it's hot. What is it like? Is it the ocean? I loved describing all the different places she goes. And who doesn't like a good castle? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
give me a throne, give me a crown, give me a castle, give me some guards with some pokey stuff, and give me a great horse. So I
Yeah.
was asked like, what's one of my favorite characters in this, and I picked the horse, which I don't think you're supposed to do as an author, but there's a great horse in this.
Yeah, yeah, and I loved. I'll be real careful not to do spoilers, but I really loved when she looked into his eyes and what she
Yeah.
saw.
Yeah.
If that's
Yeah.
the horse you're talking about, that's the one I liked. I like that one too a lot. All right. Well, on this show, we like to talk about the story stakes. Love, death, the fate of the realm are all high stakes in the story, and those are great. But what I'd like to hear about more is what was personally at stake for your main characters in this story, Sorel or Merc, whoever you'd like to talk
Well,
about.
so it's interesting because Sorel has this phrase that she uses to describe herself that she is a mouse among rats.
Mm,
So she's very timid and she's had to be hidden for her entire life for reasons that are exposed later. And so the stakes for her have a lot to do with her courage because I think like when you spend your life trying to hide and trying to duck people's attention and trying to be invisible,
mhm.
there is a kind of turtling that happens intrinsically in every situation. And I think part of it's her personality, but also part of it is that learned behavior. And so the stakes for her personally are to find her courage, to find her strength, to find her confidence. And then obviously in the world, the stakes are very high because there's the ultimate bad guy. And of course,
Yeah,
in these romantasies, you got to have a really, really big bad guy.
really bad
And
guy.
then
Yeah.
for Merc, it's harder for me to talk about his journey without revealing too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like Merc is someone who he was a farmer who ended up as a mercenary. And so for him, he just kind of wants to get out of the life he's living. And so his stakes are to actually, I feel like Sorel's going forward and he wants to go back. So it's an
Mm,
interesting
yeah.
juxtaposition.
Yeah. Yeah. I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right. Yeah. Huh. All right. Well, you've always had a knack for setting in your stories, which is for me one of the hardest things to nail down as a writer. But I think you really elevated your game in this book, and so I was really curious: is setting something that comes easy for you, or is that something you have to work at?
Oh, you see, you're gonna tell me never to come back again. This is the worst answer ever, but it's the truth. I mean, like sometimes when I'm being interviewed, like I want to give the Instagram answer that's like, oh, it's
Oh,
really hard, but I delve deep, and then I learned to express the inner artist and the creative being. I mean, like, no, no, I I think for me, my job as I see it is I have these movies in my head. And I have to pick words that, when they're read by someone who can't see the movies in my head,
mhm.
can approximate what I'm being shown and can kind of live the experience that I have when I let these visions or whatever they are sort of spool out. And I think setting is part of that, like grounding the reader in, okay, here's where we are. And you don't want to go into like, all right, every the square inch of carpet, and like, you don't want to go
Right.
down into like the micro thing, but to give enough of a sense of place as it informs a scene, as it informs a character development, as it informs like a plot point. Because plots are like sharks. They swim or they die. You got to move, or just you flatline. So the question is, what is the balance between that metronome, that beat of pacing through a book that is all about plot, and the the moments that allow the reader to breathe in the world? And I think that is a tricky balance for me. It's like how much to put in, and of the descriptions of the environment, of the ambience, of the vibe.
Yeah. Well, it's great that that is something that you have a natural talent for because like I said for me it's sometimes it's just I'll see something in my life 100,000 times, right? But do I know what the word is for that thing? You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's and so that to me it's like just even trying to figure out what it's called, a particular fashion or a particular architecture, those types of things that oh, they're pretty, but I couldn't tell you what it is. You know what I'm saying? So it's
Yeah.
just these little time-consuming things as you're writing, they all tend to kind of add on top of each
That
other.
that
But
makes me yeah, that makes me think of like so I get into a lot of dog fights with copy editors because I butcher the English language. And well, not so much in Crown of War and Shadow, but in the Black Dagger Brother. I mean, there's like vernacular, there's like weird grammar all over the place. I never put in question marks. Like I'm a nightmare. And so at one point I'm like, yeah, blah 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 blah, stroping. Okay. And it was queried, rightfully so, by the copy editor. And she was like, this word doesn't exist. And I literally put in the thought, I was like, well, if it doesn't exist, why does my dog do it all the time? And like in my family, stroping is like when a dog like rubs its shoulders and its body against a door jamb or a door. And it's like, stroping. And I
yeah,
didn't even know that wasn't a word, you know? So I
that's
understand
great.
in a different way, but I totally understand what you're saying.
That's that's great. I love that. I wonder if Snargle, because my dog has
Snorgle. Yeah.
snargle all over the windows
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
things like that. So I have
Yeah.
no idea if it's a word, but that's what we use in our household.
That's right.
Well, before I move on to something else, is there anything else that you would like to talk about with this story? Is there anything else you'd like readers to know that maybe I didn't cover or chat
Um,
about?
so one of the things that I was a little worried about was how does this I don't read books. By the time I don't know if it's true, I don't know if it's the same for you, but by the time I've spent 10 hours in my own words, I don't want to read anyone else's. The other thing is that it's very hard for me to get into the suspension of disbelief because I'm constantly editing everything I read because I'm constantly
Hmm.
editing everything I write. Um, so I was a little bit worried, although this is what, why having a good editor helps. Is this book going to fit into what romantasy readers want?
Hmm.
So it was matching what came out of my head to the marketplace. And I think when you're a commercial author like I am, like our job is I see my job as, for example, with the Black Dagger Brotherhood, it's a brand, right? So readers want Coke. They expect Coke when they read it, but you have to be Coke, but never having been Coke before. Like you can't
Right.
always repeat yourself. So it's like this tricky balance. And I wrote this book as I saw it, as it was in my head. And then I was kind of like, well, I hope it finds a place in the road because there's like like all segments of any market there's a whole panoply of readers and their tastes and what they like within a subgenre. And so I was a little bit worried about how's this going to fit in, but I've been so encouraged by the feedback that I've gotten from the initial readers like, oh yeah, this is its own thing, but it also
Mhm.
fits in if you like this. And so the only thing that I would say is I hope that readers give it a try and
Yeah.
and hopefully they find something in there that they connect to, respond to, and love.
Well, absolutely. I know that I did, so I'm sure
Thank
that
you.
readers will as well. But what I'd like to talk about is this little beauty here,
Oh,
your
I
your
love that
20th.
book. Oh,
Oh,
I hated it and loved it.
it is amazing, and I was wondering if you could just talk to us. And if you can't read it on the screen, it's the 20th anniversary insider's guide of the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. So, how did this come about, and what can you tell us about, and how hard was it to get your big, expansive world into just this single tome?
Well, thank you very much for bringing it. That was a total passion project. So, Dark Lover came out in September of 2005. And as we rode up on 2025, I was thinking we should probably do another insider's guide. And I want to do a third one where we update about like where the books are now, but this was really a retrospective. And I'm not into all that like navel gazing, lint counting, self-reflection. I'm kind of a I move forward. I don't get into a lot of retrospection for better or for worse. But I did feel like it was an appropriate moment to kind of look back on the original brothers, the original books, and then, talk a little bit about or present a little bit what it was like for me, and what my career has been like over 20 years. And I didn't expect to get quite as personal as I got in it. And but it was just wonderful. And I had all these newsletters that I had done for years, and they're all lost in the annals of Facebook,
Oh,
posting like, all the, but I had found files of a lot of them. And so we put a lot of those in. And yeah, it was just a fun project. And I did it with two of my very best book friends, Liz Berry and Jillian Stein over at Blue Box
okay.
Press. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just great.
Yeah, no, that was great. I haven't made it very far into it yet, just because of doing some reading for the podcast. But what I was curious about is you were talking about you did it with your two Jillian and Liz,
Yes.
but did you have other like mega fans do a beta read for it, or is
No.
this just
Mm-mm.
out of your head and how you
Yeah.
remember it and all of that? So, okay, all right.
I failed that question too. I fail a lot of questions.
There's no fail here at
Well,
all.
it is,
That's great.
I'm kind of a lone wolf in that regard. Like and I totally, first of all, like I think how any writer does it, if it's right for you, then it's right. Like there's
Absolutely.
so many different ways
Absolutely.
writers write and go into their material. Because of the way the books download and the ideas come to me, there's not a lot of wiggle room. They don't care about my opinion. They don't care about anyone's opinion. So beta readers, I don't do that.
Okay.
And I a lot of, when I work with an editor, it's a lot of, okay, the reader needs to know, you don't know that the reader doesn't know this. So a lot of it is like, you got to put something here to make sure that they're grounded.
Right.
But what I did love was working with my two dear sweet friends. And they're just huge fans. And so I was writing this to them because I figured if I could make them cry, if I could get them to laugh, then it was a job well done. And so
Well,
yeah.
that's great. They filled that part then, didn't they? As the mega fan, as I mentioned it, and also the publisher too. So that's amazing. Oh, very cool, very cool. Well, last year you experienced something many authors dream of but might never achieve, is that you got to see your book, Dark Lover, up on what I call the big screen, and you got to meet Wrath face to face.
Oh my Lord.
Uh,
Oh my Lord. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Now, from your videos that you posted, I could tell that you were just having a damn good time with that. So, you want to
Yeah.
share any thoughts on
So
that?
so over the last 20 years, I've been approached by Hollywood in a number of different ways by a number of different players to bring the Black Dagger Brotherhood to life on screen. And I have always been very worried because, it's an ongoing series. It has it has a great readership and it has a passionate fandom. And it's also a going concern. So I was always really worried because the way it works with Hollywood is they buy the intellectual property and then they have the right to do anything they want with it. And that's right. That's absolutely correct. If they're cutting the check, then it's theirs to do with it what they will. But I was always very uncomfortable with that because I thought, oh gosh, I'm going to be, screwing over all of these wonderful people and myself. So what was great about Passionflix is they came to me and they said, we'll give you casting approval, director approval, and script approval. And it's very unusual to get that as an author.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, plus Tosca and I like shared the same vision for the material. And I was like, okay, this is going to be a good thing. So I was in on the casting. I saw the auditions of the various people. Robert Masser, who plays Wrath, was Wrath right from the jump. It was so obvious and then during wardrobe, picking out like down to like the straps on his chest and the guns and the boots, the different coats, the contacts, the wigs, like every little piece, the black daggers, every little piece I was in on.
Oh, wow.
So when they said, okay, now let's film you meeting the boys, I was like, all right, let's do it. And when I was on set and I thought, okay, well, I'm going to make an idiot of myself because that's usually what I do. And so I was like, oh, this is not going to go well. So I walked around the corner and he was standing and coming up on some steps onto a porch. And It was the weirdest thing. My my head, like I looked at him, and then all of a sudden my head was like, nope, 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 nope. Like my body started moving before I even knew where I was going. And then I woke up on the other side of the porch because it was so disconcerting to see this thing that has
Yeah.
been in my head for so long, so completely well represented, living, breathing, the whole thing. Oh, he smelled so good too. Just, oh God, this, you smelled divine. The whole thing. And I was like, it was really an interesting experience because even though I'd been involved in the process, the reality was a lot.
Putting it
Um,
all together,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, all the
And I
bits
know,
and pieces, and then they all come together, and
yeah,
it's just, yeah,
yeah.
how that's great. I'm so glad that you, after waiting and you waiting really for the right opportunity and the right partner to bring all of that together, that you had such an amazing experience. That's
I'm
just
very lucky.
that's wonderful. Might we see a season two, or is
Yes,
that
actually, I the table read is first week in March, and we start shooting in the middle of March. So I've approved all of the episodes. We've done the casting. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. Where do they shoot these at, or are you able to
Oh,
say?
sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we actually for this season, when we are shooting a lot in the Black Dagger Brotherhood mansion, they're actually creating the mansion on a couple of sound stages in
Okay.
Atlanta.
Okay.
And then they shot in Atlanta. So I went down there. And
Okay.
it was so cool. Screamers, which is this club that they go to in the beginning of the book, they actually turned the loading dock of this place into this club. Like it's so cool the way they think of, when they're creating sets. It was really cool. So I also learned a lot. I mean, for all the movies and TV I've watched over the years, I've never seen it from the backside. So it's been
Yeah.
really cool to learn.
I've seen that where actors and actresses they'll get to the site and it actually feels like you're in, say, a Western town or something
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
that, or in
Yeah.
Regency, England. Did you have that experience where you're on the set and it's like, oh my gosh, I
Yes.
feel like I'm in my book right now?
Yeah, it was so cool. So I happened to be on set when we were filming inside Darius's mansion. And it was so freaking cool because you would have what's on camera look like a room that was a house. So when you looked at it you're like, oh, that's an entire house. And then it would only be like three-quarters of the room, and the rest of it would be filled with like, I've never seen so many extension cords in my life. And like, all these cameras and makeup people, and there'd be like, oh gosh, there must have been 50 people on set. So it was so cool. Um, to understand, it's interesting what the brain does, because when it's given an image, it extrapolates. And then but I was seeing the 3D-ness of it all. So yeah, it was really cool.
This doesn't really go with this
Yeah,
over
it
here. It's
doesn't.
kind of like my office. It looks nice back there, but don't look over here.
Right, right. Well, I mean, it's like me wearing teal pajama bottoms, right? You
Right,
just don't know what you don't see.
exactly. All right. Well, my final question is hopefully a fun one. What's one thing readers might be surprised to learn about you?
That I'm as boring as I really am. I think because, no, seriously, because like, here's the thing, and I'm sure I wonder if this isn't the same for you. The act of writing is sitting your ass in a chair for like, I mean, my days start at 5. I write from 5 to 7. I get my kid off to school. I get my workout in. I work, and then I work until lunch. I have lunch. I work all afternoon. I work until dinner. And then
Yeah.
like if I'm under a deadline, I'll work after dinner into the night, get up at 5, do it over and over again. I work 7 days a week. I don't take vacations. There are no days off. Unless I'm sick, I'm always working. And like, I'm just sitting in a chair typing. It's the stories that are interesting, not the me, you know? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
although I'm like the kind of like the person who's typing, It's not. I think sometimes I think they think I live the swashbuckling. Like, do I look like a woman who has tattoos? I mean, come on. I'm the
You're
cutest
just
girl
very
in the
chic
library.
looking. We're thinking you're going to parties or
Yeah,
something like
no,
that, probably.
no.
You're just
As a full service, I do not leave the house very often. I mean, yeah, no, I think that that's the thing is and by the way, I wouldn't change anything about it. I'm very happy
yeah.
and very
It's
grateful.
yeah, it's your comfy zone for
Yeah,
sure. There was one other thing I forgot to ask you earlier is you had some very detailed information with regards to horses in this book. As you said, one of your favorite characters was a horse. Do you have horses? Did your
I
family have
used to.
horses? Okay, all right. Because there was
I
just
rode
some
for.
little
Yeah,
things where you talked about the horse going into the corner and then one of his hooves just kind of
yeah,
click up, and so I could visualize that and I've seen that. So not that I have horses, but I've just seen that before. Those are little
yeah.
details that, resonate.
Yeah, I was into jumping, event not eventing, but like horse shows, and I did that for many years when I was
Okay.
younger, and gravity was less interested in me. You wouldn't catch me on a horse these days. If I fall down the stairs, I shatter like glass. I'm
Yeah.
57 years old. I mean, this shit doesn't bounce anymore. And
I was
unless
going to
you're
say we
prepared to
don't bounce like
bounce,
we used to.
no, no. Oh no, we're not doing that. No,
It's
there's
more of
no
a splat
horses.
these days.
Yeah, no downhill skiing. There's no water
Yeah.
skiing. Like no, no. I'm a runner, so the ability to make sure that my legs, my hips, my knees, my feet, all the bones, like I like them right where they are. The spine, the whole thing. So
Great. Well, before we go, can you share what's up next? I know you said you're working on book number two. Is that what you're primarily focused on right now, or you have other things cooking? Well, you've got season two. You have
yeah.
season two cooking too. So,
So the 2026 this year's Black Dagger Brotherhood hardcover, which is coming out at the end of September, is I'm about to go into second pass for that. Well, actually, I'm in it right now. I'm doing revisions on the second in the Crown of War and Shadow series, and then I have to start the next Black Dagger Brotherhood book, and I'm also working on this little side passion project every morning. So I'm
okay.
very busy and very grateful for it.
Oh, great. All right. Well, it sounds like you're gonna have a wonderful 2026, so
Thank you.
we'll keep our eyes open for all the
Thank
good
you.
stuff to come. Well, folks, be sure to order your
Oh my gosh.
copy.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
bless you. Be sure to order your copy of The Crown of War and Shadow today. You can learn more about JR at her amazing website, which is jrward.com. You'll find all of her social media links there, and be sure to sign up for her newsletter. JR, thank you so much
Thank
for joining me. This was such an honor. And, they always say don't meet your heroes, but you are an absolute exception. This is a
Oh,
joy.
thank you very much. Thank you. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. That's it for today's high stakes story. Follow the show so the next episode lands right in your feed. And if you enjoyed today's chat, a quick rating or review helps new listeners find us. Visit tracydevlyn.com/podcast for show notes and links to today's amazing guest and their fabulous book. High Stakes is a proud member of the Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. Thanks for listening. Until next time, enjoy the adventure, everyone.